For over 100 years, man's voracious appetite for traveling faster and faster on the world's most unconventional racetrack has witnessed an incredible journey. From less than 100 kilometers an hour then to 200 here in the 1950s, and a staggering 300 plus today. Although, of course, some things never change. Welcome to Doha, theatre of powerboat dreams, the breathtaking unlimited hydroplanes, and the most coveted trophy of all. The world's fastest men on water then, and the world's fastest men on bikes. Together, topping the bill on Qatar's National Sports Day. Travelling at 100 meters every second, trailing a massive rooster, unlimited hydroplanes are simply mind-blowing. To lift the world champions Oryx Cup is every driver's ambition. Top 5, Jimmy Shane, Kip Brown, Steve David, John Zimmerman, and J. Michael Kelly, winner in 2009.
Be the first one to ever win the Oryx Cup, and words can't express it.
To come here is an honor, and to win the Oryx Cup would be unbelievable.
To be in the top 10 and be able to come over here is an honor. To win it, just be icing on the cake.
But there are perils. Ex-world champion Dave Wilwock's boat still not repaired after catching fire 4 weeks ago.
This race, we're teaming up with the U17. I've known Nate for years. He used to drive for me years ago. They're a fast team, great driver, Kip Brown, Sheikh Hassan and myself. We sat down and we talked and tried to pick a team that we thought would do a great job for us out there. We brought some of our guys here to help do what we can and to try to go out and win this race.
For another of the sport's legends, laying hands on the Oryx Cup has become quite an issue. Current USA High Points champion Steve David has yet to crack the Oryx code.
You'd like to, obviously, put this one in the books, but hopefully that's what's meant to be. If not, it's inshallah.
And the Gold Cup as well?
Yes, the Gold Cup as well. Yes, yes. Peter, I don't like you a bit.
And as we've already heard, Wilwock's absence also offers up an opportunity for Kip Brown. He steps into the big man's shoes, carrying with it the expectations of a home nation.
It is a lot of pressure. You sit there and think about it when you're laying in bed, and you know the expectations that are a part of this partnership. It makes me feel nervous at times, but when the cockpit drops and we get out there racing, we're just racing, and that's what we're here to do.
And then there's Jimmy Shane, the current Oryx Cup holder and world champion, in no mood to hand over his silverware.
The Graham Trucking team is absolutely fantastic. They give me the best equipment they can, and it's fantastic, and I drive it as hard as I can, and if we come out with a win, we'll fulfill what we came here to do.
But first, 3 days, 1 qualifying session, 4 bruising heats, and a winner-takes-all final. Story of the weekend so far, Steve David's Oh Boy Oberto is fastest qualifier ahead of Kip Brown, Jimmy Shane, John Zimmerman and J. Michael Kelly. Into the heats, 1A. Graham Trucking, Jimmy Shane, Lane 1, David, newly crowned High Points champion, drawn together for the first time this year. David blasting into the lead from Lane 2 and winning comfortably, laying down the gauntlet. Heat 1B produces a scintillating scrap. J. Michael Kelly, U37, winning the battle for inside lane. Brown, U95 to his right, and John Zimmerman, U9 on the outside. 3 boats rubbing paint all the way until Zimmerman's superior speed produces a rare win from lane 3. Brown, though, is penalised and finishes last. So, to Heat 2A, your lineup: J. Michael Kelly, U37, Tommy Thompson, U11, Kip Brown, U95, Brian Perkins, U21, and on the outside again, U9, John Zimmerman. Here they go. 260 kilometers an hour. Oh, but problems already for Brown, almost stationary at the rear. Zimmerman, with the early firepower, stakes his claim. Inside him, Kelly on the right, Thompson there you saw alongside. Hard into Mark 1. And 4 abreast at the exit. J. Michael Kelly with the benefit of inside lane holds on to the lead, but Zimmerman is Rocket Man flying down the outside. Quickest on the track, no question about that. Already alongside Kelly, head-to-head, 284 kilometres an hour now. Perkins and Thompson buried in their rooster tails in a frantic tussle for third. Another raking left-hand bend coming up, and Zimmerman with it all to do again. It's a long way around out there in lane 5. That's clinical again from Kelly, nailing that exit. Zimmerman, though, thundering down the straight speed on everyone. All 4 bouncing perilously into turn 1 again. Kelly spot on the pin once more. Zimmerman, whoa! Missed Peters and May tossed into the air, sideways into the path almost of Brian Perkins. That's a massive smash. Well, Thompson actually over the top of Brian Perkins at Snoqualmie Casino. Well, that's absolutely horrendous. On board Perkins, and the terrifying moment for him as disaster strikes.
Hard hit. I don't know what happened. I mean, it's hard to tell. Kick came on hook, and I just tried to hold my lane, you know, open. It was just, I knew we were going to hit. We got time to talk later. I want you. Go get checked out. 1 minute.
Well, understandably shaken, but looking in reasonably good shape. Taken off for a checkup, and back on the water. Tommy Thompson is safely on the stretcher. Clearly conscious there. Let's hope not too seriously hurt either. Difficult to ascertain quite what went wrong. The aerial shot earlier appearing to show Thompson leaving his race line, maybe losing control of his skid fin. It was bumpy in there, as we saw. Tracking here his path over the top of Snoqualmie. The colossal impact, and then that eerie sound of water as the boat comes to a rest. Brian Perkins, I gather, is talking to us in the pit.
Coming through the corner, you know, we're all trying to hold our lanes and stuff, and the yellow boat, the skid fin came unhooked and it started to move out. And with the boat, the 9 boat on the outside, I didn't want to move out and take his rooster tail, so I tried to hold my lane, and at that point I knew we were going to hit. So you just kind of brace for it, and normally it's not that bad. Normally it's just little scuffs.
Tommy's beat up, maybe has an arm injury, but he's alive, and that was a nasty, nasty wreck, and I'm just glad that my buddies are all okay.
Right. Could have been so much worse. But Tommy Thompson safely on his way to hospital then. The show will go on. Highlights now from Heat 2B. Steve David, Jimmy Shane, Mark Evans and Ryan Mallow for this one. Another much anticipated clash of the Titans, Shane and David, and they don't disappoint. David, fraction better boat speed, edging ahead at the end of lap 1. Evans is third. Mallow struggles in fourth. Lap 2, Shane takes a deep breath, regroups. Side by side again. Turn 1, and into the back straight for the penultimate time. And David plays another big card. Mark Evans can only watch. Nothing left in his kitty. Third will have to do for him. Into the final lap. Turn 1. Now, he who dares. Back straight for the final time. It's Shane again. But oh boy! Here comes Alberto. Crowd on their feet. Final bend. Get out of my way! Shane nudges David. Pedal to the metal to win by less than half a boat length. Well, not for the faint of heart, this hydroplane racing. That's just the spectators. Jimmy Shane, in the end, though, penalised for straying from his lane, causing the accident, and in doing so, hands victory to his arch rival. Heat 2A is eventually concluded after Heat 2B, giving Kip Brown the opportunity to replace the poorly performing turbine engine in U95. 3 surviving boats make the restart, but it quickly becomes a 2-horse race. Brown is alleged to have jumped the gun at the start and is forced to run a penalty lap. The spite of holding the inside lane for the first turn, Kelly then has no answer to Zimmerman down the straights, and the U9 Jones Racing driver maintains his perfect start to the weekend. So this is how the RX Cup points look after 2, with everything shaping up for the consummate final showdown, David versus Shane. Time now, though, to take a breath and dispel an old myth. Unlimited hydroplanes are powered by jet engines, yes, but not pushed along by enormous thrust, as you might think. Peter Allen explains.
Most people's perception is that this is a jet engine and therefore it's pushed by jet thrust. That unfortunately is not the case, and H1 rules require that we be propelled by a propeller. So what do? This, at its core, is a jet engine. It sucks air in. These blades then will spin at very, very high speed, and they will compress the air as it moves through the engine. As they come out here, it goes into the burner can. We introduce fuel through all of these holes here, and that fuel was then ignited and it burns. As it burns, the fuel basically creates a lot of extra pressure, a lot of extra airflow. That airflow is then directed out the back of the engine and over these vanes right here. These vanes are our power turbine blades. As they spin at extremely high RPM, about 18,000 RPMs, they turn this shaft, and this shaft is then attached to our propeller shaft through a gearbox, and it turns the propeller at approximately 9,000 RPMs.
So, now you know. And while Brian Perkins assesses his wreckage and the rest line up for another big day, we'll take a short break. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Doha, capital of commerce, culture and sport. And an opportunity now to chat with the man who created the RX Cup and whose vision stretches well beyond it.
In 2014, the plan is to host the world's largest powerboat racing in Qatar. And we're expecting to have 40 to 70 boats participating. So it will be one of the largest races been held in the region by far.
Yeah, we can't end this vision without talking about the junior hydroplanes.
My son is racing, so you know, I would gotta throw the hat of being the QMSF president to a father and watching his son racing for the first time. This is going to be special for those kids. I didn't expect to have such number. We end up with about 16 kids. So junior hydro will be the first step, and then they can grow to any class that we have under QMSF. Hopefully, we'll have new champions.
So the future of world powerboating is Doha, then?
Exactly. Yeah, the future is Doha.
And no one doubts that. Junior racing is a huge statement of Qatar's commitment. Thanks to the efforts of Sheikh Hassan himself, David Holly of Peters and May, and former world champion J.W. Myers, the Middle East now has an exciting new academy and a race program for youngsters 9 to 12 years old. And here, 15 young drivers from Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, Palestine and Canada had their first powerboat experience.
One of these kids here will continue on in boat racing, and someday he might be my driver. And it doesn't take that many years. So it is so cool for Sheikh Hassan and the kids here in Qatar to be able to embrace this and come here and do this. It's an absolute kick in the pants.
And posting the best time in a drag race format to take the big trophy, young Sheikh Nawaf Al Thani. Chip off the old block, eh? Back to the RX Cup, 2 races to go before the grand final. First up, Heat 3A. J. Michael Kelly, Evans and Brown is the lineup. Mallow's boat won't start. Kelly holding inside track to the first turn, but Brown has speed on the U37 and passes on the back straight. From then on, it's one-way traffic. Kip Brown delighting the home fans with his first heat win.
From a previous heat, we kind of figured that we could motor around the 37, so that was our plan. I wanted to sneak up in there in lane 2, make a legal start, and just let the Spirit of Qatar do what we know it can do, and that is, get right with the program. This thing's a fast boat.
Heat 3B is another belter between David, Zimmerman and Shane, the 3 fastest racers of the weekend so far. It's a legal start, but the light is fading. Shane holds inside lane through the first turns, keeping dogged David at arm's length. Zimmerman slips back. But Shane is the man of the hour, defending his line to the last. In spite of his best effort, David just can't keep up and loses his 100% record. Heat win and maximum points to Shane. David protests again, but this time it's overturned.
I'll tell you what, all I saw was Alberto in the mirror the entire time, and I'm like, Like, I'm just going to drive it as hard as I can, and had just enough on that last lap to hold them off.
We're doing just fine. The boat's running great. We know what we need to win this thing come Tuesday. We just would have liked to have won every heat because we're pigs.
Now then, as a spectator, it's not always easy getting to grips with what's going on at the beginning of an H1 race. They slow down, they speed up, then they slow down again. There's a 1 minute mark, a 0 mark. What the heck is going on? Who, I wonder, could we find to explain? Just the man.
It's actually harder than it seems and easier than it sounds. Does that make sense? Because before the 1 minute gun, we have a rule where you only have to be 5 boat lengths in front of somebody before you saw them off. Well, after the 1 minute gun, you have to be 7 boat lengths in front of them before you can saw them off. So you want to time yourself so you're right at that score-up pin, right exactly at 1 minute. I mean, this far from it, going as fast as you possibly can at that point in time. Well, the problem is everybody else out there is trying to do the same dang thing. So turns out you got to get there early. So getting there early means you're going really slow and you're creeping up on this buoy and come on, and you're right there, but then you're going too slow. So then the boat behind you is hauling butt up around you. And as long as he's in front of you 7 boat lengths, he can drop in on you, all of a sudden you've lost your lane. And the ultimate I screwed up is a slingshot from the outside, going as fast as you possibly can go and hit that 1 minute gun going about 190, 200 kilometers an hour and zipping in front of everybody and then laugh and wave on the way by.
That sort of makes sense, I think, Nate. Thank you. Heat 4A. David and Shane again, but no fireworks this time. David nails the start and doesn't look back. Going on to record his 3rd win of the weekend. Shane risking nothing with that final coming up. John Zimmerman is 3rd. 4B, a jump start cost J. Michael Kelly any chance of winning.
No question about it, 37 at least. 37, one lap on 37.
Leaving Kip Brown to cruise to the checkered flag and confirm his 2nd heat win of the weekend, with Kelly coming home in 3rd behind Mark Evans. Top 5 will form the grid for the 6th lap Oryx Cup shootout, the winner of which will be crowned UAM World Champion. Jimmy, not like you to hold back a bit for the final?
Yeah, you know, like I say, our main purpose was to get into the final. You gotta, in order to win it, you gotta be in it. So kept the boat in one piece. I think all the Graham guys will be happy that we're ready to go for the final, and we'll look everything over. It was pretty rough out there, rough as it's been all weekend long, so we'll have to make a few adjustments to the boat, but we're gonna be there for the final. We're gonna get these guys.
Jimmy's a terrific competitor, as is the 9. We're also gonna have probably the Qatar boat in the final and 37, so it's going to be a difficult final, but I think we got the setup for this rough water. We're in good shape.
So your predictions for the final?
For the final would be us first and somebody else not.
But as with the flyboard riders demonstrating their skills here, one must fly higher than the others. For Kip Brown, that would cap a very special day.
Winning here in Qatar as the Spirit of Qatar and being my first overall final heat victory would mean the world to me. I've been dreaming of it ever since we got this sponsorship, and I've lived it over and over in my head. I just want to make it a reality today.
Will Kip Brown send the local fans home happy? Can Jimmy Shane do the double? Will Steve David break the hoodoo? It's time to leave the dock. But one man won't be there. Tommy Thompson, out of hospital after his crash, disappointed but in remarkably good shape.
We really had a good shot. The boat was running really well before our accident, and unfortunate for the Peters and May team that we're not going to be there, because I was pretty sure we would make it.
Will this affect you at all? I mean,
you know, what happens. It's part of racing, and there's always things that go wrong and things that go good, and you take care of that at the time it happens, and you have to move on from there, and that's what winners do, and this team is definitely winners, and we're going to make it that way.
Great man. Right then, let's go racing.
Mark, 1 minute.
Steve David here trying to nick the inside lane from Jimmy Shane. It's that complicated start again. On the back straight, making his move. And suddenly, the light has gone very, very dim indeed. Shane taking the hose down. And Steve David has got the inside lane.
There's a question down here as to whether or not there was 5 boat lengths on that move by Steve.
Well, or has he? That's the judges questioning the legality of David's pass on the back straight. Well, that would be a huge call. Countdown to 0.
9, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark.
Here they go. Oh, and Kit Brown has stopped again. We're riding with David.
Make the one run an extra lap. Possible penalty. We'll look at the video, but make him run an extra lap.
Well, it's all going off on lap 1. Steve David still in danger here of receiving a penalty lap. They're checking the video. But if that penalty stands, it's curtains for the David dream for sure. Kit Brown, I think, is on the dock. Let's catch up with him.
I feel horrible. My guys have worked their tails off all weekend long. You know, to be the home boat at the home race and to have this happen in the final is very demoralizing. I hate it for my guys, and I hate it for all these fans that have been cheering me on all weekend long.
Well, that was a funny 60 seconds. J. Michael Kelly didn't start. Brown is out. A definitive on Steve David's penalty lap is still awaited, and not quite what we were building up to for sure. In the shadows of the Doha sunset, David leads, Shane second, Zimmerman third. This is Mark Evans in fourth from his start position of trailer boat, having a bumpy old time here.
The call on the one is an extra lap. One extra lap. Lane change on the backstretch without overlap. We got a penalty. We got a 1 lap penalty. Keep going.
Well, no reprise for Steve David then. The message is loud and clear. A penalty lap, the price that must be paid for the earlier misjudgment on the back straight. The call there by the judge relayed to David by his crew chief. Now I think we can hook up with Nate Brown in the pits. Nate, what did Steve get wrong?
Everything. He knew it. He knew he had to be 5 boats in front, and he wasn't. The radio guy probably said, okay, you got it, and he didn't. So the call was made. He probably came over at 4. That's not 5.
Straight to the point. We expect no less. Thanks, Nate. No way back, though, for Madison Man now then. A lap down, and driving conditions, as you can see, couldn't be more difficult. Not just a roller coaster ride, the light is fading as well. Horrible, horrible.
David, tell the 100 to stay outside. He's making them drive across his tail.
Request there for Ryan Mallow to move over, I think, and leave the race line clear for the faster boats. One of whom, Mr. Jimmy Shane, heads towards the history books. Great chance here for the Graham trucking driver to add the 2013 Oryx Cup title to the 2012 title he already holds. Well, what is going on in Steve David's head, I can't possibly imagine. Still battling away, but no chance here of catching Zimmerman in second even. Might unlap himself on Mark Evans, of course, which would at least throw up a podium place. And speeds, by the way, barely topping 190 kilometres an hour, but even at that sort of speed, bouncing around on the bends as they are, it's paramount to keep the skid fin in the water, as we saw earlier. Oh, and there is Evans, and looks to be having problems here in the dark, picking up the turn marks. Our camera's live, believe me, it is virtually dark here, and quite hazy at times. Last lap, oh boy, Alberto say Mark, Evans wide and wild, easy still for Steve David. Into that podium third position, but that's all he'll get, because at the other end of the track, around the final bend, into the finish straight comes Jimmy Shane. Far from a classic encounter, but he won't give a jot about that. Back-to-back wins for the Graham trucking driver, and the world title will do nicely. Racking up too, as the first man to win the Oryx Cup twice. It's silver for John Zimmerman, and when he gets here, Steve David will pocket the bronze. But we all know where the celebrations will begin. Heroes' welcome already underway at one end, but as you would expect, no rejoicing at the other.
That's not the result you wanted, was it?
Well, yeah, it was kind of a cheap call. They said we didn't have 5-boat overlap on the at the Winterman gun, but we clearly did. We have video that shows that we did. My spotter shows that we did. That's the call they made, so we got to live with it.
Jimmy, 2 in a row, first guy ever. Must be a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's what we came here to do. Say it wasn't pretty, but we came out on top with the win, and it was definitely a battle of attrition. We just had to truck through the rough stuff there, and that's what the Graham trucking boat did. So that's a pretty good pun for this race. So yeah, everybody's really pleased. Can't thank Rob Graham enough and Ted Porter enough for everything they've given me. So we're going to come back in November and be the first one to win 3.
Just 3 finishers. After Kelly and Brown's early exit, Ryan Mallow fails to finish, and Mark Evans is disqualified on account of his scenic tour on the last lap. And that just about wraps it from Doha. Placid sort of end to the weekend. Mind you, only so much drama you can pack into one show, eh? From me, Peter Butler, see you next time.